I'll never look at shiny Eevee in the same way again. It all started a few days ago. I was looking on the internet for action replay codes. I really wanted one for either a shiny Vulpix or a shiny Eevee. Then, I finally found one for that shiny Eevee I wanted so much. The code was pretty long, but I was wanting to put the time in. It took about 15 minutes to put the code in, but I was so excited to get that code into action. I started my Soul Silver game with the code on. I clicked on continue and my previous save data came up. I was right in front of the Pokemon Center. I rushed into the place with my Typhlosion following behind me. I went into the PC and pressed A. Class booted up the PC. I clicked A on Bill's PC. Pokemon Storage System activated. I pressed the L and R buttons down and moved to box 5 where a shiny Eevee was supposed to come up. I moved the cursor over to Eevee and it was named EEeEE and it was level 1. Its moves were Tackle, Growl, Sand Attack, and Swift. I took out my level 1 Giratina from my party and put it into the first box of PCs. Afterwards I put 5E into my party. I wanted to trade onto my Hard Gold version, since that was the one I always wanted to play. I got my other DS and popped Hard Gold into it. I turned it on and clicked continue. Once both players were in the Union Room, I started to trade. I traded the Cubone from my Soul Silver in return for 5E. Once the Pokemon were traded into their separate versions, I made both players leave the Union Room and saved one at a time. Once turning off my system, Soul Silver was in, I went to play Hard Gold. I wanted to clone 5E so I could get the rest of the evolutions. Wonder if I have a Thunderstone. I wondered to myself as I opened up the character's bag. The only evolutionary stone I had was a Water Stone. Vaporeon will do for now, I guess. I clicked A on the Water Stone and clicked on 5E. I watched as the Eevee evolved into a pink Vaporeon. Once the evolution process was done, I saved the game and turned it off, as it was time for me to go to bed. Several days passed. I had gotten all the shiny evolutions except for Flareon, but that didn't matter to me. I'd get it later. I wanted to get 5E back onto my Soul Silver. I got my DS and popped my Action Replay DSi along with Soul Silver. Once the code list loaded, I clicked on Shiny Eevee code and started the game up. I clicked continue as soon as the options came up. I was saved in the Pokemon Center this time. I ran over to the PC. Klaus booted up the PC. I clicked A on Bill's PC. Pokemon Storage System activated. I was already in box 5. I moved to box 6, held down the L and R buttons. I moved back to box 5. Instead of an Eevee icon in the box, there was an egg icon. I moved my cursor onto it. It was a bad egg. I moved the egg to the side of the box and tried again. Another bad egg. I moved that egg to the bottom and tried for a third time. This time, 5E appeared in the box. I moved 5E back into my party. I wanted to train him. I disregarded the fact that I had 2 bad eggs in my PC box and I logged off the PC. I ran out of the Pokemon Center to train 5E. I had the max EXP code on, so this would be really easy. After flying to Goldenrod City on my Ho-Oh, I ran out of the city knowing that I had just sneaked past some of the trainers. Once a trainer had spotted me, I sent out 5E. The opposing trainer sent out a level 10 Diglett. I returned 5E and sent out my trusty Typhlosion. After the foe's Diglett attacked, I selected Typhlosion's command. This wouldn't be hard for him at all since he was level 100. So, I selected Slash. Typhlosion used Slash. Foe Diglett fainted. I held down the R button so 5E would gain the max experience points. EE grew to level 2. EE grew to level 3. This went on until 5E grew to level 37. Trainer was about to send out Zubat. Will Klaus change Pokemon? I selected yes and sent out 5E. Go, EE. Trainer sent out Zubat. I selected the fight command and chose Swift. EE used Swift. Foe Zubat died. Wait, what? Did Zubat die? I questioned. I shook my head and ignored it, although through my confusion I'd forgotten to hold down the R button to get the max EXP for my Eevee. Trainer is about to send out Diglett. Will Klaus switch Pokemon? I selected no this time. Trainer sends out Diglett. What will EEE do? I selected the fight option and chose Swift again. EEE used Swift. Foe's Diglett died. Again, the Pokemon had died. Even though this still confused me, I remembered this time to hold down the R button. EEE grew to level 38. EEE grew level 39. EEE grew level 40. This continued until 5E reached level 52. The opposing trainer didn't do anything after I beat him. Before the screen went back to the overworld, I got the evolution screen, and Eevee was on there. The animation started showing that it was trying to evolve into an Espeon. I clicked the B button since I already had a shiny Espeon. What? Oi, Eevee! Stop evolving! I noticed that 5E seemed to be angry. I ignore it and go on training it. After about 5 minutes or so, 5E was trying to evolve into Espeon again. I pressed the B button again, and 5E seemed even angrier at me. I was once again in the overworld. Before I could do anything, my trainer faced 5E, and an angry icon appeared over the shiny Eevee's head. EEE wants to evolve into Espeon. Yes or no options came up. Being that I didn't want it to evolve into Espeon, I clicked no. The angry icon appeared over Eevee's head again, and the small sprite jumped up and down as if we're throwing a tantrum. EE wants to evolve! Another yes or no option came up. I clicked no again. 5E didn't do anything this time. I opened my party and noticed all my Pokemon were now bad eggs, except for 5E. I clicked on 5E, then on Summary. 5E's evil sprite had an evil smirk on its face and red eyes. I was starting to get tired of it. I went to a Pokemon Center and went to the PC. Klaus booted up the PC. I clicked A on Bill's PC. Pokemon Storage System activated. I selected 5E and clicked on Release. EE won't go down without a fight. Suddenly I was dragged into a random encounter. EE wants to fight. Go, Typhlosion. There were two things I noticed here. First thing was that I suddenly had my Typhlosion back. The second thing was that both 5E and Typhlosion sprites were bloody. 5E had this evil grin on its face, and there was now blood on its eyes and its ears. Typhlosion sprite looked very much like it was in pain. Blood was dripping from its mouth and nose, flesh was exposed on its forehead, and the flame on its neck looked rather weak. What will Typhlosion do? I clicked the fight command and chose Flamethrower. Typhlosion is scared. What? I whispered to myself. I didn't know Pokemon could get too scared to attack. EE used Bite. The attack dealt much damage to my Typhlosion, but it wasn't down yet. There was more blood on it now than before. What will Typhlosion do? Fight. Flamethrower. Typhlosion is scared. Again. EE used Kill. Typhlosion has died. What? No! I yelled. I was glad my dad wasn't home when I said that. Klaus is out of usable Pokemon. Klaus fell victim to EE. I was once again confused. What do you mean by fell victim? I was back in the overworld, but I was in what seemed to be the Ilex forest instead of the Pokemon Center. The forest was a dark red instead of its normal green color. Bones and rotting flesh were strewn across the area. The little pond was blood red too. At this point, I was starting to feel sick. Then, I noticed something. 5E was right in front of the trainer. 5E's sprite jumped up and down. EE wants you to suffer. I was getting too scared to go on with this. I moved my thumb towards the power button. Don't even try it. You're not getting away from me. A voice that came through the speakers of my DSi. I assumed the voice belonged to 5E. The screen turned to black, and the only sound I could hear is what sounded like slashing. When the overworld came back, I saw my trainer lying on the ground in a pool of blood. He had an arm and a leg missing, and his eyes were pitch black. I presumed that his eyes were probably ripped out. 5E's sprite jumped up and down again. The happy icon appeared over 5E's head. I tried turning the game off again, and to my surprise it worked this time. I sat on my couch speechless and breathed hard for a moment before turning it back on. I I clicked on Soul Silver once I was on the DSi menu. After the title screen came up, I was immediately taken into a wild encounter. My trainer sprite was still missing his eyes and an arm. I swallowed hard. This greatly disturbed me. Then, the opposing Pokemon appeared. EEeE attacked. I noticed that 5E had shiny Espeon ears, tail, and its jewel. Blood was dripping from the ears, tail, and jewel. Its eyes were red and also had blood dripping from them. Its cry was like a slow, twisted demonic version of Espeon's cry. The only option was ball. I clicked on it. Klaus used one Pokeball. 5E goes into the ball. It shakes once, and again. Then 5E breaks out. EE doesn't want to go back. EE used kill. Oh no, I said quietly to myself. There was a flash of crimson red before a text box came up. EE has killed Klaus. The screen went back to the overworld. My trainer's sprite wasn't there. 5E's sprite was now grinning wildly. You should have let me evolve. 5E's voice echoed through the speakers of my DSi. The game turned itself off as 5E's finished talking. I was too terrified to turn it back on. I threw my DS on the floor, and surprisingly, only the Soul Silver game popped out of it. I picked up the game cartridge and threw it into the trash in the corner of the room. I sat there on my couch wondering what had just happened. I turned on my TV and the screen went black. I figured I just left it on the channel I used to play the Wii. I turned through the channels before leaving it on channel 29. The screen remained black. I sighed and reached to press the power button. But before I could, an eerie voice comes through the speakers. You should have let me evolve.